And we're back on WMUA in Amherst. My name's Josh Wolf, Kenny Soto alongside me. And on the line we have stand-up comic Tom Myers. How you doing, Tom?
Doing all right. And yourself?
Pretty good. Tom
Amherst,
Myers.
that's...
You know it.
Well, I know of it. I've never actually been to Massachusetts, but I've heard so much about it. I'd love to come up there and visit. And I mean, I hear it's...
You're not missing much, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I've been to Baltimore.
I hear the state's rich in history, so
That's
even
true.
if it hasn't changed, that's cool.
That's true. I guess you could say Massachusetts, a lot of history.
Oh yeah.
But Tom Myers is a stand-up comic based out of Baltimore, Maryland. He's 25 years old.
Yes,
So-
Baltimore. A lot of people ask me to describe Baltimore. I simply tell them, Baltimore is a big seafood town.
Yeah.
So, if you go up to a woman in a bar in Baltimore and you meet her, you start talking to her, she invites you back to her place, and she tells you she's got crabs. That's a good thing. You should go home with her.
Crab cakes and football.
Of course I would
Maryland
anyway.
does.
So how long you been in comedy?
I've been performing for the past 6 years. I started when I was a freshman at Goucher College in Baltimore, Maryland. Pretty much just doing the little coffee house open mics, and then working my way up through to student talent shows and showcases. I think I had my first pull, as it were, as a performer when during one of these talent shows I was scheduled to go on right after the group Revelations, which was Goucher's
one of those improv
Goucher's
groups?
choir
Yep.
group. It's the spiritual choir group. And,
That's
I
quite
went
an
to
act
the
to
organizers and said, hey, you've heard my act, right? You really want me to follow? They said, okay. So they went ahead and switched it around. So that was my first sticking my neck out as a performer. So I'm like, cool, I have clout.
Yeah. So how's the money now for you, as far as stand-up?
The money's okay. To tell you the truth, I'm not one of those performers who completely base themselves upon how much money am I making? How extravagant can I live? Because I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I live comfortably. I live in a little apartment space. I have a combination living room, dining room. I have a kitchen, bedroom, bathroom. I share a laundry space, and that's about it. I believe in living simply for two reasons. One, I believe in the axiom that one should live simply so that others may simply live.
Yeah.
And two, paid work really hasn't been rolling in, so it helps me. It helps me keep myself grounded to reality.
Yeah, definitely. So where did you grow up? You grew up in Baltimore?
Yeah, born, bred, raised in Baltimore. I don't actually live in Baltimore. I live in Harford County, Maryland. That's an area of the state we locals love to call Hazard County. It's not because we have an obsession with the Daisy Dukes or the General Lee, but it's because right in my backyard is a military base. It's a military testing ground, and 75% of the world's mustard gas, and I'd say about half the world's chemical weapons testing takes place right in my backyard. You want proof of that? Look at my headshot. I did not pay for that haircut.
Yeah, that's where you want to grow up, right next to the mustard gas.
I tell you what, you hear that, you can get away with so much more on stage because the audience will be whispering back and forth like, that's the guy who grew up near the mustard gas place, right? Yeah, okay, cool. So I get a lot of leeway with that, which is nice.
Yeah. How were your parents growing up? How were them?
My parents generally gave me a very comfortable atmosphere growing up. I did grow up in a bit of a strict household.
Yeah.
My mother is a private school teacher, and my dad is an ex-Vietnam vet, ex-Green Beret, ex-Special Forces National Guard recruiter, so
Jesus.
Bit of a strict upbringing. No
Yeah.
room for individualism for little Tommy growing up, pretty much. To give evidence of that, my dad used to give my brother and me military-style haircuts. I use the term haircut loosely. It felt more like he was rolling a John Deere over my head, so it hurt. It would hurt so much I'd carry on during these haircuts, and afterwards my mother, the private school teacher, would sit me down and I would have to write out again and again, I will not make a fuss during my dad's haircuts. I will not make a fuss during my dad's haircuts. Finally got my dad back one day, though. He was getting ready to give me a haircut, did a little bit of research beforehand, found out he was a Vietnam vet, and he gets ready to give me a haircut, and I yell out, "Charlie in the trees!" After that one, I will not give my dad Nam flashbacks. I will not give my dad Nam flashbacks.
So you're a successful comic, I'd say. Are you getting regular sex? You getting laid pretty regularly? Are the chicks impressed by the stand-up comedy?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Women love me. They
Really?
dig me. They want to hurl themselves at me and throw themselves at my feet, offer themselves up to me any way they can. However, I have no concrete proof of this. But I know that deep in their heart of hearts, they get the chance.
I'm the same way. I can't finish with chicks, you know? Chicks say how much they love me, and then, you know, as a friend.
It's actually gotten to the point where I kind of want Hillary to win the presidential election this November because, first thing she's going to want to do when she gets in there is get back at Bill for all the crap he's pulled over the years.
Nice intern.
If she wants to do that, yes, I'm going to apply as a... You saw where I was going with that, didn't you?
Yeah.
I am going to apply to be a White House intern should Hillary take the Oval Office.
It's not that desperate, is it? I mean, she's not exactly Halle Berry.
Well, I tell you what, she keeps talking. I have the experience to lead on day one. I've got the experience. All right, Hillary, we'll see how much experience you have.
So,
how are you with a cigar? That's the question.
Nah, I quit smoking.
Yeah. So, but do you smoke weed? Because I know a lot of these comics, they do that to write material. You ever do that?
Well, I tell you what, I do take some drugs before I go on stage.
Yeah.
I take the substance that can be found in stinging nettle to clear up my head when I have an allergy attack, and if I get those aches and pains, tell you what, man, pop a couple of Aleve. I can go 12 hours, like the commercial says, all day strong, all day long, bitches. Sorry.
So, what'd you study in college?
Well, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in history.
Yeah.
I just love studying history, which is why I'd love to come up to Massachusetts again.
History capital of the world, huh?
I tell you, that's where the country started. George Bush was saying, you could have the country without Massachusetts. Of course, people from Texas do think like that. They think, the country of Texas, I guess, the Lone Star Republic or whatever they call it. No need for Massachusetts in Texas, no. But I digress. When I was in college, I studied history. My favorite piece of history to study was the American Revolution.
Yeah.
And I like it because it's not because it's the laying of the foundations of democracy or how ordinary men can rise up to fight against the evils of tyranny. I do like studying it because they were able to grow a lot of pot back then and get away with it.
Yeah.
And a lot of advocates want to legalize marijuana use that, too. They say, well, we should be able to grow pot and smoke it because our founding fathers grew pot and smoked it. I kind of doubt them a little bit on that because, I've tried pot. I tried it once in college. I'm sure, I'm sure a few of your listeners, not many, but a few of them may have tried it. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna spitball here just for the sake of my punchline. Me and anyone else who has smoked pot can tell you that after you smoke pot, you do not feel like going off and fighting a revolution. I mean, I can imagine, if Paul Revere was smoking pot, he'd be wandering down the streets going, I think the British are coming, dudes. Luckily for me, I got enough. I can share.
Ask the British if they got any Cheetos, will you, if you ever see? So,
I tell you what, the Boston Tea Party would not have taken place if all those guys were smoking pot. They may have dressed up as Indians, but that's about as far as it would have gone, I think. They'd all be standing on that ship going, oh, you want me to do what with that crate? No way, dude. No. Hey, Mr. Redcoat, can't we all just get along?
So, I was wondering about the Baltimore comedy market, because I've never actually been. I've been to New York and Boston. How is the comedy market down there?
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Not what you would... It's certainly not anywhere on the level of New York or L.A., certainly.
Yeah.
There is one club down here, and this is the reason why I tour a lot. I won't give the name of the club because I don't want to give them any publicity. But there was a small group of us who do a kind of comedy that not a lot of other comics in the area do, and they don't know how to lump us in or classify us.
So it's a lot of different comedy venues, a little different comedy styles in one venue. That is, you mean?
Right. It's like they want to do. What they want to do is they want to try to appeal to an urban crowd, and I've done well in front of urban crowds in the past.
Yeah.
But I guess this comedy club has seen fit to told me and these other few comics that we weren't funny enough to be on their stage.
Too much of a country boy.
Wow.
So yeah, me and this little country bumpkin can't make way for a city audience. Okay, whatever, fine. So that's why I've gone on the road, and even in Baltimore, I've put together my own shows with some of these same disenfranchised comics. And you know what? We've gotten audiences, we've gotten good crowds, and we've gotten laughs.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done.
Yeah, that's.
I've been up to New York. I performed. New York is really cool. I just did a spot up in Brooklyn where I was taped, and I'm going to be appearing on like a local cable station up there.
Oh wow!
And I just did some show. I did a show in D.C., and I'm going to be doing some more where I'm going to be taped for D.C.'s for Comcast's D.C. market.
Oh yeah. I've seen that around Boston and stuff too. They do tape stand-up comedy for like Comcast and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I've come to realize too, because I did a little comedy in New York and a little bit in Boston. That if one place doesn't work, you go somewhere. You can go find another place, and you know. I mean, there's comedy everywhere.
The problem with Baltimore, and the problem with Baltimore, I love Baltimore and D.C. I love performing there. I love performing for people I consider my friends and my neighbors who live in the area. But Baltimore and D.C. are both pretty much one comedy club markets. So
yeah.
they have the monopoly, and if they don't want to use you, well, okay, you don't. They feel that you don't have the mens rea to make it as a comedian, and that you'll eventually quit and go away.
Yeah.
But that's what I live to do, and that's what I keep doing comedy to prove to prove these guys wrong.
Have you ever thought of moving out to New York or L.A.?
I've thought about it, but my thoughts on that is that I'd probably get too jaded by living in one area at a time.
Yeah.
I'd rather try to make a name for myself, locally first.
Yeah.
Then get jaded by my hometown and then move somewhere else.
Was it tough when you were first starting out to get going in Maryland? Because of course there's not as many venues as New York or LA or anything. Was it tough starting out?
It was tough, but when I first started performing outside of Goucher, which took a couple of years for me to do that, there was a great group of local comics, and we would all meet at this one restaurant in the north of Baltimore, where they had an open mic night.
Yeah.
And you could tell this is one of those places, and the management ran it like the guy who ran it said, "Okay, we'll do a comedy night here," not really knowing what goes on into putting together a comedy show.
Yeah.
It was just one of those places. So
you guys travel a lot, stand-up comics, that is. Is that a problem for you? Do you like traveling?
I like traveling. I always think it's fun. Yeah, I've done your major cities. I've performed in New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C., Richmond. I've done my share of shows in college towns. I've also done my share of shows in the little small towns, sort of the especially in some of the Hicksville areas of the country. I have a joke in my act where I talk about how I go to this one venue where I'm supposed to be performing, and when I get there, everybody at the bar is watching Deliverance.
Oh, jeez.
And they cheered during the squeal like a pig scene. It's gonna be a rough gig, man. It might be unwise for me to perform, especially as I look like someone's prison bitch. Keep my ass to the wall tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you must have some Larry the Cable Guy style material, though, don't you?
No.
Not a fan.
Lucky for
how
you.
I describe my comedy is, okay, take Larry the Cable Guy, yeah, and switch him, do a 180.
Yeah.
That's actually
do the complete opposite.
It's strange, you know. I was at a family reunion and I told one of my cousins that I was a comedian, and I told him what I do, and I kid you not, the first words out of his mouth were, "Oh yeah, get her done." I'm like, no.
I got that T-shirt.
Mom, am I adopted? No. Oh.
So, Tom, it's been great having you on.
It's been great talking to you.
Yeah,
and
I wish you luck.
I hope to come up there and just sightsee or even perform sometime.
Yeah, if you come up, definitely let us know. We'll have you in the studio.
Okay.
That sounds great. And
awesome.
So Tom's at a... you want to plug anything in Baltimore?
In Baltimore, I would.
Or anything.
I would, but I don't have my schedule in front of me. So.
All right.
You can check my schedule on my MySpace page, myspace.com/Tom Myers, spelled Myers. That's
Okay.
where you can find all things me. I am getting ready to do a show tonight in Reading, which, well, actually, I guess it's technically last night.
Okay.
I guess, because this is being aired on Saturday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be doing a show in Reading last night, so I wish you'd come and checked it out.
How'd it go?
I don't remember how I did, but I'm sure I did great.
You gotta love those Reading crowds.
All right, Tom, it was great having you on, okay?
All right.
All right, stay on the line for 1 second. We're going to go to a break, all right? We'll be right back.